Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, that I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Mosai, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rekat Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of Great Millstone who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, ready concepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the ark pushing this truth and believing this truth, but the 4 winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning, and you few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Orlando Camp, coming at you with another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. Another day of edification, Lord willing, to be edified. So I'm going to title this lesson, Gold and Silver Will Be Worthless. Gold and silver will be worthless. And this is a little clip, a little interview with this guy Peter Schiff. You know, he owned gold and silver. He has a company that deal with gold and silver, and he always going into how the dollar devaluing, how the dollar is going to be worthless, and how America is going to go back to gold and silver. Well, according to prophecy, it ain't going to save them. It ain't going to work. They would not perform that enterprise. So I'm going to play this clip and get a few precepts. Lord witness be edifying. Mankind from the beginning of time. So like, let me go back. Dazzled humankind from the beginning of time, and right around 1500 BC, the ancient empire of Egypt actually made gold. They were the first to make gold a medium of exchange for international trade. But on Tuesday, September 20th of this year, the Wall Street Journal reported that gold had lost its status as a safe haven. Interestingly, no one told the world's central banks because they were busy as heck buying gold. So just maybe reports of gold's death just a little bit premature. By the way, the articles also marked a pretty good spot for you to start buying when that article came out from the Wall Street Journal. Gold and silver have been absolutely on fire. Joining me now, Euro Pacific Capital Chief Economist and Global Strategist Peter Schiff. You know, Peter, let's face it, you've heard about the death of gold a gazillion times, I'm sure. But what is it that people forget about gold? Like when it's going down, moving flat, not moving, and it feels like, okay, it's no longer what it might have been in the past.
First of all, Charles, I didn't get that memo either. And had I gotten that memo, I would have just thrown it in the trash. But what a lot of people don't realize about gold is that it's money. Gold is liquidity. It's everything else that loses value in relationship to gold. Gold is a better form of money than anything governments have come up with to replace it. And in times like this, where we have inflation that's going to run out of control and central banks that are powerless to rein it in because they've created it and they've created economies that are dependent on it, more and more people, including central banks, are going to be returning to gold.
Is that what's sparking this move right now? Gold, silver, they're making sort of, you know, there were a few parabolic sessions. Why at this particular moment?
Well, I think gold sold off based on the false belief that the Fed was going to win its fight against inflation and bring it back down to 2%. I think now the markets are starting to realize that that's not going to happen when they saw what happened in the United Kingdom, where the head of the Bank of England was just as committed to fighting inflation as Powell. But as soon as it created the beginnings of a financial crisis, they did an about-face and went right back to quantitative easing. I think the same predicament is going to befall the Federal Reserve, and before too long, inflation is going to take a back seat to an even greater crisis, a financial crisis, and a worsening recession, and the Fed is going to go right back to more quantitative easing. There'll be no more rate hikes. In fact, there may be rate cuts. Inflation is going to be nowhere near 2% when they do that. In fact, it's headed closer to 20%.
You know what? I agree with you that they're not going to go all the way. And that's why I think they're so aggressive, like they never shut up, because jawboning has been their best weapon so far. But push come to shove, I do not see the Powell Fed going as far as they say they're going to go. Let me ask you about this national
You
debt.
said jawbone.
We cleared 31 trillion. These numbers used to make headlines. I mean, we used to make a big deal. 20 trillion, it's over. Now 31 trillion, no big deal. What is it going to take? You know, at some point, you wonder when is it the match? When does this spark a sort of flame that does what we feared it would do all along? Is it maybe a higher interest rate environment? Because the interest on this stuff is out of this world now.
Absolutely. And in fact, that last trillion was tacked on in about 8 months. But if you remember, about a year ago, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told the reporter not to worry about the size of the national debt because it didn't matter as long as we had low interest rates, because all that mattered was the debt service charges. Well, now interest rates have skyrocketed. I think the yield on a one-year T-bill when Treasury Secretary made that comment was about 0.25%. Now it's 4%. You've got a 16-fold increase in the cost of funding that debt. And remember, that debt keeps having to be rolled over. The government has very short financing on this national debt. So it's already a problem, and it's going to become a much bigger problem. And it's one of the reasons that the Fed is going to chicken out in the fight against inflation, because the U.S. government would be forced to default on that debt if the Fed actually let interest rates rise high enough to bring inflation down to 2%.
Yeah, it's one hell of a dilemma. I mean, I think the last fiscal year is maybe 450 billion just on interest. Maybe eventually we could go to $1 trillion. Let me shift gears a little bit, because you've got some strong opinions on the administration, which is in panic mode, right? Saudi Arabia just sort of dissed President Biden. They cut production, and now they want to stop oil exports, among other things. You like that idea?
Well, that would be a disaster for the United States, because remember, we export energy to help pay for all the goods that we import. We already have record trade deficits, and if we couldn't export our energy to pay for our imports, our trade deficits would go even higher, and that would put downward pressure on the dollar, upward pressure on interest rates, and the net effect would be higher consumer prices. Yes, gas might be a little cheaper, but everything else would be more expensive, and it would be a net loss for the country.
Yeah, well.
So you see, he just said Saudi Arabia, hey, they starting to shut down. We're doing deals with America, man. And Saudi Arabia has always been America's #1 cash cow, man. So, but prophecy tell you in Isaiah 13 that the Arabians shall neither pinch tit there, man. Let me get that real quick. It's Isaiah 13. It's Isaiah 13 and verse 19. It reads, "In Babylon the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there." So the Arabians, Saudi Arabia is starting to separate from Babylon the Great, which is according to prophecy. Now let's get this in James 5:1. Gold loses status as a safe haven. James 5:1. And we know this is prophecy, man. But the Lord do things through measurements. So while they think they still got hope because the dollar crashing, so they don't go back to gold. No, man. Go to now, James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Why? Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. This is Isaiah 2. See, the Lord said all this is going to fail, man. This Isaiah 2. Let me read 12. It reads, "For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low." It's verse 17. "And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shalom shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for the fear of Yahweh, and for the glory of his majesty." And it said the same thing in Revelation. Okay, it said they're going to hide themselves from the wrath of the Lamb when he It say, for the fear of Yahweh Shemawashah and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, because today gold and silver is idols. It's idol worship. You worship money, right? The god of Mammon. And it also applies to different idols that heathens use to make their images, right? But gold and silver is an idol, man. Okay? In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the cliffs of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for the fear of Yahweh Shemawashah and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man, the Lord is telling your hopeful elect, telling our people, cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, meaning they just men. For wherein is he to be accounted of? See, so Lord said, like I tell you in Jeremiah 17, woe to him that make flesh his own, right? So Lord say, cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, because they just men. Let me back that up with a precept. In Psalms, I think it's Psalms 140. Let's see. This is Psalms 146. It reads, put not your trust in princes, nor in the son of man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth, in that very day his thoughts perish. So don't put your breath, don't put your trust in a man that the Lord is going to put to death, man. Because he's not immortal. Let's get this in Jeremiah 17. It's a Jeremiah 17 and verse 5. Thus saith Yahweh, cursed be man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his own, and whose heart departed from the Lord. Because the Lord got these devils falling, man. Let's get this in Zephaniah. These devils is falling, man. And this what happened. The monetary system had to be devalued, right? Every currency had to be devalued, man. This is Zephaniah 1 and 14. The great day of Yahweh is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of Yahweh, the mighty man shall cry their ability. So even you big swole bodybuilders, your basketball players, all your sports athletes, okay, your bodybuilders, they all gonna cry bitterly, man. Say the mighty man. The day, it say that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and the alarm against the fenced city and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh Shemawashah's wrath. You see, this is Proverbs chapter 11 and 4. It reads, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver from fear. Hey, as it tell you in Isaiah 33 and 6, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. This is Ezekiel chapter 7 in verse 9. It reads, so like Ezekiel 7 and 19, it reads, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh Shemawashah. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Like it said in James 5, the rust of them, of their gold and silver, shall be a witness against them, for they have heaped treasures together for the last days. You see, because the elites only care about the elites, man. That's why I finish off in James 5. It say, verse 4, behold, the hire of the laborers whom have reaped down your field, which is of you, have kept back by fraud, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Oh, so everything that you have done, yeah, he treasured together for the last days, but it's going to be a witness against you, because these devils is harboring everything to themselves, man. Right? In Proverbs, let's get this. I think it's Proverbs 28 and 8. It reads, it's Proverbs 28 and 8. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. So they are gathering it, right? They heaping the treasure together for the last days. But the scripture just said the Lord got them gathering it to him that will pity the poor. And who's him that's going to pity the poor? It's Yahweh Shema Shai that's going to pity the poor, which is the meek, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, the hopeful elect. Again, Proverbs 28 and 8. He that by usury and unjust gains increases substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. And Yahweh Shema Shai is returning for the meek and lowly, man, for the poor. So the Lord got these devils in a trick bag. Let's get another precept to link with that. I think it's Job 27, if I ain't mistaken. Let's see. Right, Job 27:17 it say, Job 27:16, call out Yahweh Shema Shai. Though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as the clay, like it said about this, like it said in James 5, his gold and silver is cankered, right? His garments are moth eaten. So it say Job 27:16, though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver, man. You see? So he's gathering it for him that would pity the poor, man. And they don't know what's going on, because the scriptures say the pride of their heart have deceived them. Right? So back in Ezekiel, the Lord is cold, man. Cold, man. Ezekiel 7 and 19. It reads, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh Shema Shai. They shall not be satisfied. They said they shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Yeah, because they have heaped up silver and gold, right? Which the laborers reaped down their fields, and they kept back by fraud, man, through unjust gains and usury. So this is verse 27. The king shall mourn, which is who's in rulership right now. It tell you in Ecclesiastes 10 and 10 that the physician cometh to cut off a long disease, and he today that is a king tomorrow shall die. So who's a king today? Who's in rulership? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The king shall mourn, and the prince shall be clothed with desolation, and the hands of the people of the land shall be troubled. I will do unto them after their way, and according to their deserts will I judge them, and they shall know that I am the Lord. What's their deserts? Their riches, their gold and silver, their suits and ties. Okay, the Lord say their silver and gold is cankered, and their garments are moth-eaten, man. Okay, these old humped over cave beasts that got on suits and ties, and they own everything, man. Because it talks about the laborers have reaped down, right? So I want to get this real quick. Let's get this. Let me get this real quick. Bear with me. I want to get this in Job. Because it say, when you go to this in Job 20 and 22, right? Let me get it in the blue letter. So in Job 20 and 22, it reads this. This is Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. when you go to this word wicked here in Job 20 and 22, it says,
Strong's H 6001. A male.
so it's a laborer, sufferer, laborer, workman, sufferer. So it's a labor, workman, right? So when you go back to James 5, so it say every hand of the wicked shall be upon him, which is what? Every hand of the laborers is going to be upon these devils, man. So let's read this again in James 5 and 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your misery that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. They're suits and ties, man. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. And they have done this not only to so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, but also to the other nations, man. Okay? Through unjust gains and usury. The Edomites, the so-called white man, is called, they have a system that's called economic hitmen. And they have a Ponzi scheme, which is through their fiat currency, man. Okay, fiat currency is a Ponzi scheme to keep the nations in debt, man. Okay? And it started with Maya Angelou Bauer, man. Maya Angelou Rothschild, man. To keep the countries in debt, man. Fiat currency is a Ponzi scheme, man. So it say, your gold and silver is canker, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. That's what I tell you in Revelation 17, that the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and make her desolate and naked, and shall burn her with fire, man. It say, your gold and silver is canker, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped down are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. And that's the hopeful elect, crying to the Lord about all the abominations that the so-called white man is doing on the earth. But the point I want to make is to say, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. These laborers is the hopeful elect, because the Lord said in Ezekiel 25, he going to do unto Edom according to his anger, and he going to put his spirit in the hopeful elect to get busy too. But also the other nations going to have a hand on these devils too, man. Because these nations is separated, because Esau, everybody that's laborers under this devil. Because what do they call the world? They call all the nations Goyim. That's why they want everybody to tag like a cow, man. Okay, because they said the world is Goyim, man. Outside of Esau, Edom, okay, the so-called white man, the elites of them, they call all the other nations Goyim. And they want everybody to tag like cows, man. So they in rulership, so everybody else is just their laborers, man. I don't care what nation it is. And that's why all hands of the laborers is going to be upon these devils. The hopeful elect, and two-thirds of Jake, and the other heathen nations, man, because everybody's pissed off with this devil, man. Everybody tired of this devil, man. So Egypt shall mourn, man. Let's get this. Everybody is tired of these devils, man. In Jeremiah, this is Jeremiah 51 in verse 7. It reads, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. You see? That made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. So it ain't just the hopeful elect that's pissed off with these devils. It's all the other nations too, man. Chinese, Japanese, the Arabs, the Africans, okay? The Iranians, okay? Everybody pissed off with these devils, man. Because they, through unjust gain and usury, man, they destroyed the earth. Now all countries in debt because of the petrodollar, man. That's what the Lord say this. In 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 15 in verse 12 it reads, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues, with the plague and punishment that power Yahweh Shemawashah shall bring upon it, man. It's going to mourn. And you heard him, he mentioned Egypt in the beginning, right? Let's play it again. Check this out, because he mentioned it in the beginning. Oh, Salaki. Let's go back a little bit.
From the beginning of time, and right around 1500 BC, the ancient empire of Egypt actually made the gold. They were the first to make gold a medium of exchange for international trade.
Now you see, they mentioned Egypt. You can't make this up. This is spiritual, man. So, in Revelation chapter 11, because what is North America, Babylon the Great? It's the Egypt of its time, man. Okay? Babylon the Great is the Egypt of its time, man. Revelation 11:8. And the dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So North America is known as Egypt, man. Okay? It's the revised Roman Empire. It's Sodom and Gomorrah and the other three cities that were destroyed. Okay? It's the ancient Babylonian Empire. Babylon the Great is called North America. All in one, man. But North America is the Egypt of its time, man. Okay? They made gold what? Let's play it again.
From the beginning of time, and right around 1500 BC, the ancient empire of Egypt actually made the gold. They were the first to make gold a medium of exchange for international trade. But on Tuesday, September 20th,
you see, they made gold their international trade, man. Just like Babylon did. They did the same thing. They done away with the dollar in 1971, right? It's supposed to be behind. It's supposed to be backed by gold and silver. I mean, they done away with gold and silver in 1971 and came up with a fiat currency, man, which is a Ponzi scheme. But they used to be backed by gold and silver. And what happened in Egypt? The gold and silver didn't save Pharaoh from getting destroyed, right? That's why I say your gold and silver is cankered, man. This is Isaiah. Can't make this up, man. Isaiah 19:1. The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. How is this Egypt going to melt? By them ICBMs, man. Those intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay, tell you that in 2 Peter 3. Starting at verse 10, man. Everything shall melt with fervent heat, man. Right? Malachi 4:1. The day cometh that the earth shall burn as an oven, man. This is Isaiah 19:14. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. Because this is happening through the words of the Lord. It said in 2 Thessalonians 2:8, by the spirit of the Lord mouth shall they be consumed, right? And from the brightness of Yahweh is coming. But first, it's through the words of the Lord mouth. Listen to this. The Lord have made a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggering his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do, which is the head, which is, like I tell you in Isaiah, was Isaiah 24, right? It say, let's read it. As a matter of fact, I'm right here. In Isaiah 24:1, it say, behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be, this is what I'm reading in Isaiah 19, this is Isaiah 24, it say, and it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh Shemawashah have spoken this word. So in Isaiah 19, it's saying right here, again it say, Isaiah 19:14, the Lord have made a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, because the words of the Lord are destroying this place. And as a drunken man staggering his vomit, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which shall the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Because everybody following the so-called white man. So when he goes down, that's it. That's why the Lord say, don't trust in a man that's going to get put to death. Trust in Yahweh Shema Shah. But to tell you in Isaiah 13 and 15, everyone that's joined unto them shall fall by the sword, man. It say, in that day shall Egypt be like women, be like unto women, and it shall be, and it say, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts. Where is that at? Isaiah 13 and 2. Shake the hand of it, they may go into the gates of the nobles. Because everything is happening because the words of Yahweh Shema Shah, man. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8. And the spirit of the Lord's mouth is destroying this place. It say, because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh Shema Shah of hosts, which he shaketh over it through his prophets, man. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Okay? Because it started with Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. The Lord said he's going to raise up Judah first. It say, and the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself because of the counsel of Yahweh Shema Shah of hosts, which he have determined against it, man. So this is happening because the words of Yahweh Shema Shah, man, is bringing this place down. So y'all want to make some points on that. Because the Lord say, gold and silver, that gold and silver is cankered, man. And it's not going to save them. And everybody going to cast that gold and silver into the streets, man. Okay? Gold loses status as safe haven. And it's going to be, it's downhill, man. But this is the Lord showing us he's destroying this place, man. So Lord was edifying. You got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rikah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, ready concepted or not. From the sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world. We can hope for the elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning. If you sisters who are listening and learning, Lord was edifying. Till next time I say shalom. Wah, for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema Shah continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. Gold and silver will be worthless. Shalom.